Hello, my beautiful, gorgeous dance baby, and welcome to another episode of More Than Dance. Today, we are talking about timing, and your time is coming. And if it's not here right now, it is coming. And this episode is kind of about dance, and it's also about someone very special to me. So let's rewind. Let's rewind to 2019 when I first met my Joshy. And in fact, I was wearing this exact shirt when Joshy and I met for the first time. And the reason why I'm talking about timing with you is because I often hear from my students, I want someone. I want my person. I want to find my special someone. And I know through my own experience, that feeling of really wanting to find your special someone and knowing that you deserve your special someone and just wondering like, when is it going to happen? And what can I do? How can I make this happen? And the sad truth is that there's really not much you can do about the situation. And there's a lot that you can do about you. So let's rewind to 2019. I met Joshy on a Wednesday, March 13th, and I was in the middle of hosting a class at the studio. There was someone that was renting out the building, and I needed to be there because of insurance purposes. And in come the people, and in came Joshy. And I was like, okay, hi. And I was introducing myself, and he was like, oh, what's up? And I was like, oh, do you not know? Like, hi, I'm Chris. Like, I'm the owner. Like, do you care at all? And he was not. He was in the zone, he says. So whatever, cool. We met. In fact, he took pictures of me and two of the girls that were there that night in this shirt, so we can show you those. And fast forward, I went to Jamaica. I came back. I was wearing this Usain Bolt hat, and it was yellow, and I got it because it was yellow. And I was at a bar that is local to us, and I was on a date. And I ran into Joshy, and Joshy is like, oh my gosh, I like your hat. And I was like, oh, I just came back from Jamaica. We had this whole conversation about the guy that was on my hat, which is Usain Bolt. Also, another reason why like this came up is because Josh and I did this app called Paired. And it's like for couples, there's questions and you submit your answers. And we had done this maybe like 2-3 years ago. I was doing a clean out and I came across a screenshot of the answer to Josh's question of like, what did you think when we first met? And he was like, I liked your outfit. So anyway, so that got me thinking, okay, well, maybe this is the time to share about this story. So I was on a date and there he was, and we were just chatting and we were having like really fun conversation. And I knew that he was a videographer because he had come to the studio to film. And I asked him, hey, April 7th, are you free? He was like, oh no, I'm so busy. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I have this workshop and I would have loved it if you could film it. And he was like, oh, like I can do it. Like I can film for that. And he will say, if you ask him, that it was because I was so persistent and I asked twice that he said yes. And we all know what I think. So anyway, Fasting forward, I decided to think about this because recently we had a class, Full Circle. It's a workshop. It's a mindset and intuition dance workshop. And we talk about anything that's going on in our life. And there's like certain setbacks. And one of those is when we get into a comparison mode. And the comparison mode can be brutal sometimes. And it can feel like, oh gosh, like why not me? And like, what am I doing wrong? And one of our girls shared with us, like, I noticed that some of my friends are pairing up and they're finding their someones and I'm not. And I then went into my whole thought of like when I met Joshy and how I met Joshy. And I don't know if you know this, but Joshy and I are 11 years apart and I am the older one. So if you could take yourself back to when I was like in my young 20s and I was just thinking about like, where's my special someone? Where is he? Well, he was illegal, literally at that time. Like he was, how old was he? If I was like 24, he was 13. 13. So like, we don't want to like go there right now because I mean, it's like, ugh. But let's just think about that, for example. So I got to wait however many more years after that until I met him. And it's funny about timing because it seems like, well, I'm doing the right things. So I was doing the right things. I was on the dating apps and I was going out of my way to say hello to people. I was challenging myself to go out with people that weren't my type. I was really dating. And then I hit this moment, and it was in 2018, actually. And I was just like, I'm just whatever. And it was a moment where I had like my bomb ass bitch year. And I was like, I'm just going to think about me and everything about me. And if I want to do it, I'm going to do it. And if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. And I got really like centered in on what I was calling into my life. And I got really also like trustworthy of the idea that like, he'll find me, we'll find each other. And I'm just going to go about my business and do the things that light me up and make me excited about life and the things that allow me to have and explore true fun. And I started just dating. Yes, I was dating, and I would get really strict about my time. So I noticed that there was this trend going on with the gentleman on Bumble, and it was kind of like, hey, what's up? And I'd be like, hey. And then like the conversation would happen and nothing was really going. So I got really centered in on, okay, well, this doesn't work for me. I want to have an actual conversation. So I started to vet people through FaceTime so I could like save my time. So people would be like, oh, do you want to go get coffee? Well, I don't drink coffee. Oh, you want to go get a drink? No, I don't want to drink on a weeknight. No, I've got things to do. And so what we can do though is we can FaceTime and I can like see if you can hold a conversation. I can see if you're cute. I can see if you have a personality. Like, are we laughing together? Is there any type of attraction through FaceTime? And if there wasn't, bye. And if there was, then I'd be like, okay, I think I want to spend my time, my valuable time with this person out on a date. And I think when we become really centered in on what we want, that's when things happen. And it was through that process that I became like, I was strict. Like I was like, no. And I was open. So what I was open for was the whole type thing. Like I let that go. The whole distance thing. Like I was like, okay, whatever. I was trying not to be like closed-minded to any like previous notions that I had. And I was definitely closed off to things that I've already figured out. Like I knew I wanted someone who was hygienic. I knew I wanted someone who had the will and the want to like experience life in the way that I wanted. I obviously was open to age. So a lot of things shifted. And I was able to bring in what was truly meant for me. And it was through sticking to rules and also being open. And I feel like that might be a very, very hard line to figure out. And I guess the biggest question that you can ask yourself for this is, am I able to be in my divine feminine when I'm around this person? Am I able to grow with this person? Can I be vulnerable with this person? Am I getting good signals and good signs? Are they treating me in a good way? And honestly, at any sign of them not, for example, oh gosh, I wish I had written a book back then, but I remember on my second date with someone, like he showed up in a onesie. And I was like, no, like definitely not. Like that's not a character trait that I want to bring into the rest of my life. Like someone who thinks that that standard is a good standard to live by, like let me show up in a onesie. Like, no, this is not going to work for me. Yeah, like I try not to be judgmental. And then I get to remember that sometimes being judgmental is what helps you formulate things that you really like. So if maybe he was in the onesie and like he was a stand-up guy, which he proved to not be, maybe I would have been able to get over that. Like, okay, well, he did show up in a onesie on the second date, but he is so nice, and maybe that's just his personality. Like maybe he just really likes fleece. So you get to be strict and you get to be open and finding the balance within. There are a lot of unwritten rules on relationships. One of them being age gaps. I mean, it's not like a written rule, and it's like, it's kind of okay, like to date people older than you, but you'll still get a shock factor. For instance, one of my friends dates a man who's like 20 something years older than her. And I know from experience with her, people will be like, whoa. And we both know that her relationship is so real, like with this person, that the number isn't mattering to her. And just like with Josh and I, like the number doesn't matter to us. And when you're able to get comfortable being uncomfortable, the discomfort being like feeling the energy of other people's thoughts. It doesn't always feel good, but when you can stand in your own and be like, yeah, and he's 11 years younger than I am. Being able to hold that space for them to just kind of like think whatever they're thinking, and maybe they are, maybe they're not. And the point is, you get to a point where you just don't care. I don't care. My friend doesn't care. Joshy doesn't care. And with that said, you also get to attract people in your life that would trust that whatever you're doing and deciding in your life is for you. And it's a great idea. And thus, they're supportive. The other thing that our society tells us, obviously, is like there's a specific timeline. Follow these steps in order, and that's what life can look like. And when your life looks different than that, it can allow you a moment to question it and to be like, whoa, everyone around me is blank, blank, blank. And something that I want to say about that is we get in this echo chamber of where we currently are. So we're in a world with the people around us, and they're echoing things back and forth to us. And I'm going to make this like circle for a visual. And when we grow, this is us in the circle, and we're growing out of that circle. And here we are in our new like echo chamber. We're thinking and we're hearing different things. And the people that are in this chamber might not hear and think and absorb the stuff that's above in your level up phase. So, in other words, once you grow and once you start evolving, if the people around you aren't evolving, that means that their thoughts aren't evolving. That means that maybe they will evolve, but not at the same time that you are. So it could be that at one point you all agree and you think a certain way and you evolve and you're changing for the better. And then what's used to be supportive around you and helpful for you to hear is no longer helpful for you to hear and is no longer supportive. So therefore, you create a new world. And that world is with new friends, new people, a new job perhaps, more things that fill and align with your life so that you're able to draw in everything that can make you happy. And when your thoughts are shifting, if the people around you haven't shifted, you can start to feel like you don't belong and like what you think doesn't matter. And unfortunately, to be able to realize this, you kind of have to step out a little bit and zoom out and just have this like higher self awakening of like, oh, that's what's happening. Oh, okay. And then you might find that the people in this chamber that you just grew out of, you might still be able to hang with them a little bit. And you also know like, well, don't take what she says seriously and don't do what this person says, because that's not adding to your bucket. And when you start to hear different stories about the people who are currently in your chamber, you might be like, wow, there's so many other people that are experiencing this kind of path that I'm currently on right now. And that can be so fulfilling and so meaningful because everything that you were questioning when you were here in this chamber is now being realized in this chamber. And it's echoing back to you, hey, you're all right. You're on the right path. You're doing the right thing. And timing is divine. So trust it. So I hope this was helpful for you today. I would love to hear your feedback. And it would mean the world to me if you left a 5-star written review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much. And I'll see you on the dance floor.